Fishing Obsessed Podcast. We'll be sitting down with a fresh guest each week. Someone who shares the same kayak fishing passion that runs through our veins. We're talking kayak anglers, kayak companies, lure experts. Heck, anyone who's got a story to tell about landing the big ones from a kayak. We're setting our sights on becoming the #1 kayak fishing podcast in the world. You'll get a chuckle, a grin, and hey, maybe even a belly laugh. Because we believe in the power of humor. But above all, we're here to educate and inspire. So, whether you're a seasoned kayak angler or just dipping your toes into this exhilarating world, join us on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed Podcast. It's time to reel in adventure, camaraderie, and the joy of the catch. Here's your host, Darren Wendell.
Hey, you fish freaks. Welcome to the Kayak Fishing Obsessed Podcast, episode number 124. Seth, tonight's episode is going to be a big one. And I mean that in every sense of the word, because our guest tonight isn't just catching fish. He's catching the right fish consistently. Justin Faircloth is coming off a season most anglers only dream of. Kayak Bass Fishing Angler of the Year and the Challenge Series champion for KBF. And here's the thing. Those titles don't come from luck. They don't come from magic baits. They don't come from just having a good day. They come from decisions. They come from discipline. And they come from knowing when to leave fish, when to slow down, when to speed up, and when to trust your gut when everything else tells you you shouldn't. Tonight, we're not just here to talk about what Justin threw. We're here to talk about how he thinks. We're going to dissect the mindset of a true big bass hunter. Let's get into it. Seth, how you doing, brother?
Holy monologue there. I didn't know if I was going to come in. That was amazing, Darren.
I can keep going.
No, we're good. I'm
all right, we'll back up.
I'm glad to be back. Glad to be here.
You've been gone for a minute.
Yeah, I have been. Had some things. But last week was my daughter's birthday, so we went on a little vacation to Tennessee. Dude, it's cold. Man. It's cold up there.
Tell me. I got ice on the water where I'm at. It's stupid.
I saw snow. I was like, no. I drove right back to Florida after like 6 days. So, yeah.
There's like
we're back here.
6 inches of snow outside.
Beautiful weather. Had a good time up in like Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge. So, yeah. It's good.
I love it. Well, before we get started, before we bring Justin out of the green room, a big special thanks to our show sponsor, Dark Horse Tackle. And I've been loving these perfect pairings. This is the latest right here. Check it out. This is the Defiant Jig Underspin paired with the BizBaits 3-inch swim and minnow. And so I love when things come in pairs. You're just not getting like, okay, I got this underspin. What am I supposed to put it on? You got to wait till you get something or go buy something. So the Dark Horse Tackle box is making that happen. If you want to support the show, head over to darkhorsetackle.com. All right. You think we should let Justin out of the green room?
Yeah, I think he's ready.
All right. How's it going, brother? Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, doing good.
Good.
I'm loving the hardware behind you. My gosh, you and your teammate Wyatt Hammond got like 600 pounds of hardware. Just trophies.
Yeah, pretty close to it.
It's not a green screen either.
No, that's what mine would look like. I love it.
Not that fancy.
So, Justin, we're going to hop right into this. Take us back to the moment where it kind of like finally sank in for you. You just became the KBF Angler of the Year and the Challenge Series champion. Man, what did that feel like? Because it's something you work towards. Right. It's not just something that like happens. It's the Angler of the Year isn't just like, hey, everyone got together and we voted and we like this guy. That's not how this works. So walk us through it, how it works and the work you put into it.
I mean, it all comes down to the monthly challenges. I didn't get as much fishing as I wanted to here in the home state because we were traveling, me and Wyatt were traveling for the TKS. Signed up for those states, but wasn't able to, close the deal in those states, except South Carolina the last month. I had one here in North Carolina, had a couple seconds, and went to South Carolina in October for the TKS event.
Yeah.
In 4 days, I caught 113 and a half inches at Santee Cooper. So I was able to have 2 firsts and a second going into the championship at Lake Gunnersville with KBF. My goal this year was just to make the 10. The last 2 years, I had missed it by like one spot.
Oh gosh, that's painful.
Yeah, so that was my goal, and knew it was going to be tough with just 2 firsts and a second. So I was 6 points behind, coming into it. Got there for pre-fishing, and it wasn't very spectacular. I went to where I ended up winning at the first day that I got there. The fish were there, but nothing huge. I mean, 19's the occasional 20. Pre-fished at a few other places. Wasn't expecting much.
Okay.
Day one of the tournament, I think I had one fish at like 9 o'clock.
Oh, yikes.
And it was a 20.
Okay.
Worked my way back through the section of docks. By 11:30, I had 97 inches.
By what time? 11:30?
11:30, yeah. So in about 2 hours, I had 97 inches.
Okay.
From my first fish to that. And so I moved off those docks, made a little run, found some more docks. First dock I went to, I threw the jig up under the dock, 21 3/4, I think.
Okay.
Went to the front of the dock, caught a 21.
It's the magic dock.
Yeah. Put me at like 101 inches or something like that.
Yeah.
And then 2 docks down from that, I caught a 20 3/4, and it's like 1 o'clock. So I just left. Had 103 1/4 inches on day one of the Challenge Series Championship.
Nice. So I know your teammate is in the comment section over here, and we had him on the show not too long ago, Wyatt Hammond, and he was sharing a little bit about the jig magic that you guys were happened to be on that day. And you guys, you make your own jigs, don't you? Yeah. Oh, there they are. Is this something you're willing to talk about, or kind of one of those things you kind of have in your back pocket? Now, granted, you can tell everybody in the world about jigs. You still got to go out there and catch them.
I mean, Wyatt's the one that turned me on to this. We were fishing Lake Murray earlier this year, and that's what he was catching them on. And I was like, man, I really want to learn how to fish a jig. I said, I don't know how. So he'd hand me a few here and there, and I started catching fish. And I think he got tired of giving them to me. So I was like, what do I need to order? So I ended up ordering everything. I do have a couple of variations. He kind of sticks to that one color. Skirt, I've got a couple of different ones. I use like a peanut butter and jelly version, and the same one that he uses.
I think there's any magic to like the color or anything like that, or is it simply you're just putting it where it needs to go? How much weight are you putting into the actual jig, or does that jig and the color and the fact that you caught so many on them give you the confidence? Because I get that sometimes, right? I'll be throwing a chatterbait, I'll lose it, and I'm like, oh, this is like the same chatterbait. It's like kind of, but it's just a different variation of color, and you're like, you just don't feel it because what you've been catching them on. How much weight do you put on the color, or the fact that it's just that you handmade it, or what? And do you like? I know Wyatt, when he came on, he's like, hey, I only use one trailer as well. Do you throttle through or toggle through different trailers that you?
So I only use the missile bait trailer.
D-bomb.
The D-bomb. Yep.
Okay. So you guys vary on that because he uses the power bait only exclusively. All right. We got a question over here from the comment section: silicone or living rubber when you make your own?
Living rubber.
All right.
Yeah.
And just so everybody knows, this credit, like I said, it goes out to Wyatt. This was his
juice.
brainchild. It's the juice. And the thing about Wyatt, I feel like he's like, we've had a conversation. He's like one of the most down to earth guys, and like you ask him, he'll tell you. So
he'll tell you anything you want to know.
So everything you want. I love it. As his teammate, does that drive you crazy every once in a while, or no?
No, because I mean the good thing about it, you can tell somebody, while we're on the water, and they don't have these.
Yeah, right.
You can't go to the store and buy it. Yeah,
I think when you tell people things anyway, on the water might be different because they can just go implement it. But in general, techniques, things that you do, like the masses will not implement those, whether it's a confidence thing or they don't fully understand. Like a small percentage will actually take that nugget, go out in the water, be like, I'm going to test this out, see if it works, and then keep testing it out until they catch a fish, and then get confidence, and then finally put it in their like repertoire of what they do. But it's always a small percentage. Because I've given out juice on this. I don't know if people are doing it, but Darren has dropped some nuggets on here that I even told him before we started podcasting. I'm like, hey, I probably don't want to talk about this too much. Darren's like, yeah, Seth does this. I'm like, oh, well, hopefully no one implements that. It's all good. It's all good.
I mean,
I don't remember what these things are.
Yeah, right.
I'd apologize, but I don't remember.
Me coming from strictly basically throwing a chatterbait. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to win a lot of tournaments on a chatterbait, but picking up the jig has definitely been a game changer this year.
It is wild to me, and as a content creator who rolls through a variety of different how-to videos on jigs and you name it, any type of technique out there. A lot of time when I do jig fishing videos, people are like, oh, I hear the same thing over and over again. They're like, oh, I've never caught a fish on a jig. And they're kind of like, I don't want anything to do with it. Like I tried it. It didn't work. I was like, my gosh, jig fishing is one of the most basic ways to fish. You're going to start anywhere, right? Start at one of your top 5, learn those 5, and make sure jig fishing is one of them. When it finally clicked for me is when I started jig fishing. My gosh, the fish and the size of the fish that I'm catching with the jig is outperforming anything else that I have ever thrown in my entire life. It is absolutely wild. And so I freaking love it. There's nothing like a jig hook set. That is insanely addicting, is that big giant thump and that hook set on it. And just the sizable fish that you catch with a jig is wild. And it's wild to me. A lot of people don't even try it and they've given up on it, or they simply don't know how to do it. And so if you're thinking like, hey, what's my 2026 going to look like? And what are some of those unconfidence lures? If jig is in that arena or makes it in that list, make it your number 1 and figure that thing out. Trust me, you'll be thanking yourself all day.
Yep.
Seth, you big jig fisherman?
So interestingly enough, back when I was on a boat back in 2016 through 21, when I did a bunch of boat tournaments and stuff, I used to make my own jigs. I have the do it mold mounts. I have the whole deal. I have the lead. I have a whole big bucket of all that stuff. Nice. My wife and I used to tie them, and it was good. And it used to be one of my confidence baits. But since I went to a kayak, it kind of fell off. Like I just don't throw a whole lot of jigs.
You should.
Yeah, it's not really. I don't even honestly. I think I might have one jig with me at all times. Like I just have one in there if I get a wild hair one day. But yeah, I don't even really toss jigs. I guess I utilize other baits in those same situations. Not that they're better or anything, but it's fallen off. Not that I didn't have success, because I had a bunch of success with jigs, but I don't know why I moved away from it. Maybe because I can't flip as easily. I don't know. Sitting down might be, but yeah. So it's kind of fallen off for me. So I watched some of Wyatt's stream last week. I'm like, I might have to. And you're doing some scope and stuff in there too. That was a good one. Got to learn some stuff last week. So yeah, it's kind of fallen off for me though.
Yeah, I'm with Justin over here when it comes to the Missile D bombs, green pumpkin, black flag for a trailer. Those things have I've never tried the power bait ones. I think I actually have some in my garage. I need to hook those up as well. I'd like to have where I can throttle back and forth. But I got a couple comments over here. Utopia Outdoorsman says, I need to fall back in love with jigs. It has been a while. And that's also happens a lot, right? You figure out the jigs, and then you kind of want to evolve as an angler. So you start throwing other things and start working through other unconfidence baits. And it's kind of one of those things that's like, it just sits in your box. But man, does it catch some nice fish. Racer 87F. We're going to throw this question out to Faircloth over here. Best advice to someone who has never jig fished before?
Well, I mean, kind of like I just said, I I threw them. I've been kayak fishing competitively now for about 4.5 years. When I first started, the only bass fishing I ever done was pond fishing. Never been on, never really been out on a boat, bass fishing, just pond hopping. So we were throwing flukes and spinnerbaits. That's about all you threw in these ponds.
Okay.
So when I got my first kayak, I was just trying to replicate that, so I didn't know what a chatterbait was. I mean, I wasn't throwing Texas rigs, anything like that. Just started picking things up. And, I bought a few jigs and I throw them out there. Couldn't tell what was a bite, what wasn't a bite. So I just stopped throwing it. I mean, everything that it hit, I thought was a bite when I first started. If you've never thrown a jig, just pick it up and throw it till you catch a fish. And I promise you that first hit that you get, you're going to know it. Mm-hmm. You're going to know it. Just hold on.
So, I mean, it's not one of those things you just throw a jig just anywhere, right? You're typically skipping these under docks, correct?
I'm throwing them under docks. I'm throwing them on laydowns. I'm throwing them on stumps.
Yeah, you're throwing them on cover.
Yeah.
100%.
But, I mean, even still, like when we were at Nickajack, we were fishing offshore, there was grass and we were throwing football jigs.
Yep.
So, I mean, you really can throw it anywhere and they bite it.
No, I get that. I typically, if I'm in grass, I'm usually throwing a chatterbait. If I see structure, that's where I'm usually picking out a jig for the most part. And so we got Edward Duffy over here. Thank you for talking about jigs tonight. I've been trying to learn about them and I committed to use them in spring and summer, really attacking on this thing. Racer says, thank you. So what's your setup typically when you're throwing a jig? Like what's the weight? When do you throttle through your weights? What's the line you're typically using? Do you switch back and forth from fluoro to braid depending on where you're throwing? What's your rod look like? Kind of break that down for us, Justin.
So when I'm skipping docks, I'm with these hand tied ones, I'm throwing a 1/2 ounce jig. Like this one here, the skirt's not cut, so it's got oh, there we go. It's got more the long living rubber on it, okay, versus that one that's been trimmed down. So that 1/2 ounce, you're just able to get it up under there. It skips better. When I'm fishing docks, I'm throwing a 20-pound Red Label Seaguar.
Okay.
On my Cashin worm and jig rod, CK series, with a it's a lose reel. Can't remember which one it is. It's the red one, the like 9-to-1 ratio or whatever.
Oh, you're picking up line fast.
Yeah, got to get them out of there.
They ever try? I mean, do you get them out of there fast enough, or do they have a tendency to wrap you around those pylons? So for those of you who don't live down in these areas on these docks, if you live in Ohio where I live, like you're like, oh, a dock, it looks like just a gangplank with a pontoon on each side. Down here in Gunnersville, and I talked about this before, and a lot of these places they're talking about, there's like places where you can park your boat. Like you put up the garage doors and you could put in 2 pontoons and lifts to them, and then big old places where you can have parties on. I mean, these things are legit. And so they have a tendency to, whenever they bite, to run left and run right and get you as tied up as fast as possible.
Yeah,
definitely.
I have a question for you, Justin, on the trimming of those skirts.
Pull those back up here.
Yeah.
Make it look like a finesse jig.
Yeah. Do you always trim? So a couple of things. Do you trim the head like that so it's short, kind of like a finesse? And what do you do with the length on the back end as far as how far past the hook do you typically trim them? Do you keep them long, short? What does that look like?
So there's the hook.
Mm-hmm. You leave it like that, almost like a mop jig kind of.
There you go.
Yeah. And do you above the tie, do you trim that like a kind of like a finesse, or do you let that hang over?
So some of them are like that.
Okay.
And then some of them hang over like that. These obviously they cast and skip better, but sometimes they want that under there too. So I was throwing them back and forth.
How do you work your jig? And I don't know, maybe you talked about this last week with Wyatt, but I didn't get to see the whole thing. But when you toss up underneath there, you just drop it in, give it a couple, jigs, and then pull it out. If they don't bite right away, they're not in there. You let it sit, or how do you typically work that down in there?
So I can be impatient when it comes to fishing. When I'm throwing into the strike zone like that, either they're going to bite it or I'm going to throw it right back in there. Like, I'm not going to just sit there and wait for them. I'm not going to drag it all the way back to the boat. More what I'm saying. Might work at a couple feet. If they hadn't picked it up by then, I'm throwing back in there.
Okay. Do they usually hit it on the fall on docks? So I don't fish a whole lot of docks, but they usually hit
a
on
lot
the
of
fall.
times, yes. The docks we were fishing at Gunnersville this go round, we were fishing in
shallow
8 to 12 inches of water.
Yeah. Okay.
So I
Not
mean,
much time to hit I got you.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never really thrown long skirted jigs like a mop jig. I know they exist for a reason, right?
They work.
Yeah.
I am a believer.
I'm a believer now after Wyatt came on, and now you're on here, and all I see in the background is the wallpaper. For those of you listening in, it's just checks and metal. And what's interesting to me, Justin, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, like you really just got into this competitively like 4 or 5 years ago, correct?
I mean, competitively and really fishing. I mean, like I said, excuse me, I fished ponds and stuff with my friends, but I go crappie fishing with my brother on his boat, but never owned a boat. I bought a kayak in 2020. That was
I love it. So right in the middle of COVID, you're like, hey, you know what? I need to get out and do something. So you bought a kayak, and it's not. And here's the thing about Justin. And we've had conversations. I talked to him earlier today. He's on the water. You're like, how can someone go from like 5 years to Angler of the Year and championship and all these trophies and checks behind him? How can you do that in such a short amount of time? Homie's on the water 200 days a year, right? Yes, and so you fish all day, every day. If you got a second and you can go fishing, you're fishing, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't say all day, every day. I mean,
for most people, 200 days a year is all day, every day.
No, I mean, I work for our family business, so I'm able to get off. If I'm able to get off work early, I don't have my daughter, I'm coming home, hooking up the kayaks, and I'm going somewhere. It don't matter if it's 15 degrees outside or 100 degrees, I'm going.
Yeah. No, I like it. I like it a lot. But when you get that much time on the water, your curve is a lot faster than most who might get out a few times a month, is what I'm saying here. Not that you're putting into work and you love it. Now, really quick, this is the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. So you mentioned you purchased a kayak. However, you did not mention what kayak that was. So walk us through your rig really fast. And do you have the same ones that you bought since 2020?
No, I've had about 7.
That's the addiction, folks, right there. I love it. So
my very first, so my brother, he bought a kayak off of a guy here locally. He bought I think it was a 2017 Hobie PA 14.
Okay.
And at the time, I couldn't afford a Hobie PA 14. So I started looking, and there was a local dealer here that sold Feel Free, made here in North Carolina. I ended up picking up a Feel Free lure 13.5, I think it is. I had that kayak for maybe 4 or 5 months. Just didn't. I liked it. It was a good riding kayak. It just didn't fit the way I wanted to rig it out.
Okay.
It's more of a pleasure kayak to me than
it's like a wreck kayak, 100%.
So I got rid of that one and I bought a SS 127 Bonafide. Yep. Had that one for maybe 5 or 6 months.
You got sick of paddling real fast?
No, I had a motor on it. I put a motor guide on it since I bought it.
Okay.
We had a tournament at Falls Lake, and it was on Father's Day weekend, and there was boats everywhere. water started just pouring over the kayak, I was like, yeah, this kayak's not big enough for me. I'm not doing this
Needs a little
anymore.
beefier. Yeah.
So I ended up getting a Jackson Big Rig, which I loved that kayak. It was laid out perfect, put the motor on the front. I think I had that one for about a year. When I had that one, ended up the front end of it cracked on me, so I was getting water in it. I ended up selling, crashed it, and somebody picked it up and fixed it. Found a Hobie PA 14 on Facebook.
Okay.
Gentleman down in, I think Raleigh had it. He bought 2 of them with a trailer from this old couple. Had never been used. There wasn't a scratch.
Oh gosh, that's
had,
what you like hope for and dream of.
Yeah, it had deck mat on it. I mean, it had everything you could think of. I got the kayak for pretty much half price.
Okay.
From a new one. I think I paid like $2,400 for it.
Money.
Yeah. So I had that one, and then I had a Bonafide SS 107.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't stay around very long. And then I had
you went the other way.
Well, that was before the
Got
PA. Then I had a Hobie Outback. Then,
my gosh, you're cruising through kayaks here.
Now I still got the PA 14, the 21, and then I've got a 25 Bonafide PWR.
Okay. Now, do you like that one? Are you going to be in it for a while? Or you're like, hey, you know what? I'm looking at the ... the new Canoe Unlimited Max that they came out with, or the XTR. Are you looking for something else, or you feel good in PWR?
I use that boat more for my small creeks and stuff like that. Again, I don't want to be out on big waters with that one. It's just my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Woo! That was I thought you were going to be like, yeah, I've had the same one, or I've only gone through 2. You're like, no, I've stomped through 7 of them. Woo! I like it. All right, got some questions over here that have been piling in that we were talking about earlier. And so let's start up here. We were talking about jigs, and Hot Scarvy says, what size hook is that when you're showing your jig? I want to say Wyatt was using a 5/0. What are you using? Do you pour your own, or you just buy those?
We just buy them.
Okay.
So I use 2. I've got the 4/0.
There we go.
And the 5/0.
Do you trim those weed guards at all or do you leave them that long? They seem pretty like far past the hook there.
So what I'll, again, this comes from Wyatt. We pull out 2 or 3 of the.
Oh, you pull out the actual strands to loosen it up a bit. All right.
Just to make it soft, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. I used to trim mine down so they weren't. I would go right at the base, take like, I don't know, a quarter of them off or so. So it depends on what you're fishing too. And you guys probably know better. It's been a minute since I threw jigs, but if you're fishing heavy cover, you kind of want that extra protection so you don't get hooked up. But if you're in the open, have different rods set up, you would trim those at the base so that it's not as stiff when you're hitting stuff. So
you mentioned that you pull them out. So when you pull them out, a tendency, all of them will come out eventually. Do you trim them, or do you actually pull out strands?
Just pull them out.
Oh, there you go. All right. Yeah. You have no issues with eventually kind of weaseling all the rest of them coming out?
No, I mean we don't get but a couple days out of them anyway.
If you're not losing jigs, you're not fishing.
You are skipping them under docks, and
yeah.
My gosh. All right, I like it. All right, other questions here. This is a good question from Steven Sturgeon. So, he was just mentioning. So you were fishing the backside of docks. So I was asking Wyatt about this because I've had a lot of luck like working different angles on a big old dock before. But he was like, "Hey, you know what? When I'm scoping into these things, typically you only have to throw once and watch, right? All the fish are going to come out and either look at it, eat it, or not move, and they're not bass. And so, are you someone who will throw multiple times, or are you one of those guys? And do you scope when you're skipping jigs under docks?
No, when I'm around docks and shallow waters like that, most of the time the scope's not in the water.
Got it.
And the big reason I have live scope on my boat is because I like to crappie fish. Do I occasionally use it for bass? Yes. But the way I look at it is, we know how to fish. You know where the fish are usually going to be at. Why look at a screen?
Hey.
To get more pissed off.
There you go. A lot of people tell me when they got into FFS and they spent a lifetime of fishing, and it just helped elevate a little bit more on how bass are actually interacting with their lures. And that was a big eye opener for a lot of individuals. Like, they've learned a lot and they've heard a lot of people talk about it, but actually seeing it for themselves, like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Here's a question from Michael Bradley. Do you have a different approach when fishing floating docks? Must be something. I come across those from time to time. Without the pylons, are fish going to get under there?
So I run away from them.
Yeah, not a big fan.
No, I mean, we don't have a lot of lakes around here like that. I mean, we don't, around my house, we don't have many lakes that have docks on them. Maybe 3 or 4 within an hour or so.
Okay.
So, I mean, the only place I really fish docks are when I leave and go out of state.
All right. Yeah, I don't have a ton of docks up here either. I come to think about it, it's usually just you're fishing laydowns. I guess there's some lakes around here. I got a question from Racer. Hey, Darren, we only have like an hour and a half apart. I was just curious if any jig tips for Ohio, colors, weight. I usually use a 3/4 ounce jig up here in Ohio. Would be using usually peanut butter jelly jig, 5/0 with a Missile D-bomb, green pumpkin, black fleck trailer most of the time, right? And so I'm alternating that on cover and laydowns with a Yamatanuki. Like, if they're not hitting a jig, I'll turn around and come right through, and I'll throw a softer fall, and so it's fluttering on the fall. And sometimes that just drives them crazy. But for an Ohio, I alternate and fish a Yamatanuki like I do a jig, and jig like I do a Yamatanuki, sometimes in the same place, and I'll get a reaction out of one or the other. But it's Ohio. I love it. Wham said, no, put that thing away. You're sharing too much.
I'm just going off what he did last week.
He gave away the juice. Like, if you guys haven't listened to that podcast, you're like, oh, I missed last week. Sorry, Darren, busy, Christmas, blah, 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 blah. You need to go back and listen to Wyatt Hammond's podcast, because that was a very, very good one. All right.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna move on to the next question. So if it was contextualized, go ahead and ask away.
2 things. Do you move to like an ounce and a half in the wintertime for the ice?
Me?
Yeah, to punch through the ice in Ohio.
I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you.
Ounce, I'm like, man, you got to go heavier than that to get through that ice up there this time of year.
Oh my gosh.
No, I just, and we'll probably get into it here. So I don't even want to go into my next question. So
get into the next question. You'll segue.
Preparation for your events. I know what Wyatt does because I listened to the podcast from last week. I know what I do in preparation for these like national events. Justin, what do you do to get ready, especially in bodies of water that you've never fished before? What does your preparation look like?
I go out. I wouldn't say no history because I hadn't been there, but I just, kind of look and see what's similar to these places, when I get there that reminds me of this lake or that lake. And just, I don't fish hard, I just go out and look for those similarities from previous lakes that I've been to, maybe in the area, or if it reminds me of a lake from back home, and just to kind of see what's happening. I don't have the experience that some of these guys do, that fish most of these lakes in the Southeast.
Do you do any like map study prior, or like YouTube study, Bassmaster, anything like that prior to heading out to these events, or do you kind of wait and see what it's like?
No, and the reason being, like people ask me about pre-fishing, I really hate it because I can get there on Monday and the fish are doing this, but by Saturday they're doing something totally different, and I'm hard-headed, so I'll still be wanting to try to do what I did on Monday.
Sure.
So this is interesting
That's
because your
different,
teammate
right?
is Wyatt,
Yeah.
right? So Wyatt is like he has a completely different approach before you even
Big time.
throw a lure in the water. I mean, it's wildly different. He is all, and maybe that's why you're his teammate. You're like, hey, Wyatt, you do all that work, and then we'll come together and you tell me everything you learned. And there we go. You just saved yourself hundreds of hours. Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, like when we were at Nickajack for the TKS event, I'm just out looking, seeing what I could see and stuff, and I'm watching him. He's on this grass flat, and I'm talking about he's just running back and forth, and I leave and went somewhere else, and I come back, and he's still going. I'm like, is he still graphing that area? And I rode over there. He's like, yeah, man, I've been graphing this, but he found the fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. Hours just mowing the lawn.
Contrasting. Yeah.
Well, like I said, I think I said it in the podcast last week. He put in a work week of hours while we were there.
Just scanning.
Contrasting styles. Shows you can be successful doing either, right? You don't have to necessarily put those hours in. I mean, I kind of do what Wyatt does. I have Bassmaster on one of my computers while I'm working, and it will sit there. Like if I know I'm going to be fishing, like for Toledo Bend, for example, this past year, I knew I was fishing Toledo Bend. Bassmaster will be on Toledo Bend until I know every single thing about Toledo Bend that Bassmaster said over the course of 4 days. It'll be in my subconscious because it was the same time of year and everything. So I can kind of simulate those environmental factors. So I just play it all the time. So like, I don't know. I'm a Bassmaster watcher like Wyatt. I think I would be super nervous, and just a testament to your ability to adapt on the fly. I would be super nervous showing up to an event without like all those hours of study. So that's awesome that you're able to do it. Because if I could skip that part, it would save me a lot of time.
I mean, it definitely doesn't work all the time. I mean,
Sure.
But when you're sitting there watching all these different videos of Toledo Bend, everybody else is watching it too.
Oh, of course, yeah. And you can show up, and it's just not the same situation, and you have to just scratch everything you watched for the last 6 months and just start fresh anyways. So yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Question for you, Seth.
Yeah.
So you go to the Bassmaster events, you fish them, the kayak the series.
Mm-hmm.
If you are watching the same thing everyone else is watching, are you seeing the same people over and over again in the same spots that you're fishing on a regular basis? Like, is there a trend there?
No, and I think Wyatt might have touched on this last week too. There's so much nuance, and there's like this, you have to, if you're doing that type of study, you're the person, like you're the calculator. You put all the information, you're the chat GPT that you put all that information and you have to digest it in a certain way. Yeah, if there's like a point with like a lighthouse on it that's bright red and everyone, like they won the event on that point in front of that bright red lighthouse, like that's going to be an obvious spot. But a lot of these locations, you kind of have to put it in a kayak. You can't run all over the place. So you also have to pick, there's a top 10. They show most of the top 10, those locations, those pins, where they're fishing. They're not always fishing at the same spot each day. So between the top 10, 4 days of fishing and different times of year, whether it's, you might not always be there the exact same time of year with the same exact elements, water temperature, all that. But if you can digest that, have an idea of like, look, they're kind of catching them in these back pockets on the south side of the lake this time of year, you can eliminate a lot of water and kind of focus down in that region, and then go into your practice focusing in the south side of the lake in those pockets to see if they're pulling up or what the situation is. So to answer your question, no, people will find similar patterns and do similar things, but most of these bodies of water are pretty large. So you kind of run with the pattern that you think is going to work before you get there. You practice that pattern, for me at least. And if it's efficient and it looks good, you run with it and see how the event goes. So yeah, it's kind of spread out. People don't always find the same stuff or pull the same stuff from the videos.
Uh-huh. was curious. You said you can't run all over the lake. It's not true. There are some people who got their kayaks and put them on boats and run all over the lake. So you never know. You just never know.
Yeah. Might have like, yeah, it's wild stuff.
Got a question over here for you, Justin and Seth. Actually, this is more of a comment from Bass AF 817. Been coming on the podcast the last pretty vocal last few months. So appreciate that. He says, I definitely hate pre-fishing. I'm the same stubborn force feeding bass crankbaits every single time. I love it.
Yep.
What else do we have here?
What's that AF stand for? Air Force, probably.
Yeah, probably Air Force. All right, I got a question here. I like it. He put the hand up. I like it. Question: when do you know it's time to move spots for you? And we had a conversation with Wyatt last week. And I think it's different from everybody. I did a couple of shorts on this past week, and everyone's like, a lot of people have hard and fast rules. Like, after I cast in 360 degrees and blah, 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 then I leave. Or it's 15-minute time limit, or it's by complete feel, or Wyatt, whenever I see 90 inches of fish splashing over here, 50 feet to my right, I'll go catch them. And so, Justin, do you have any hard and fast rules yourself when it comes to, okay, what are the signals are telling you it's time to move from the spot?
I mean, if I'm not catching fish, then I mean, obviously I'm going to leave. But for instance, on day 2 at the Challenge Series Championship, I actually started out better that morning, but I knew I had to keep it going to be able to win that tournament. I made a long run. It was a good hour ride up to these other docks because I had just stopped catching fish down here. Get up there,
an hour.
It was a good about an hour ride up there.
And it wasn't like the half hour you get to your spot. You're saying you burned a full hour of tournament time.
Pretty close. I mean,
all right.
It was a good ride.
Do you have a good motor?
Yeah, I run a Minn Kota Ulterra 24 volt.
Okay.
But I made this ride up there because I'd left them docks alone. There's about maybe 15 docks up there. I get up there and I catch one fish, which gave me my 5th fish that day. Looked at the clock. I was like, all right, it's going to take me, 45 minutes to an hour to get back. Need to get back down there. Just coasted. Got all my thoughts to myself on the way back down there. First dock,
an hour and 45 minutes of burning time.
Yeah, the time gone.
I'd be frustrated if it was just for one fish. I'm like, my gosh, you start playing all these games in your head. If I would have stayed there. Yeah, I will only imagine.
I mean, it was a 17 3/4, so I mean, it wasn't a terrible fish.
It wasn't like awesome either. It's like, meh.
Yeah. Well, make the ride back. I was like, I'm going back to my docks, going back to the docks that I've been catching fish on all week. First dock I come up to, throw the jig under there, 19 and a half. I was like, really? I just wasted 2 hours to get back down here.
17 1/4, right.
Then get to the next dock, catch another upgrade. So I think I ended up on day 2 with, I think, 94 inches.
Okay.
Something like that, 93, 94 inches on day 2. But yeah, it's more, if I'm in an area where I know there's fish, I'm going to beat it like a dead dog.
Yeah. Yeah, mine's kind of similar in some ways. Mine's based off practice for the most part, and then there's adjustments during the event. If I have a practice where I have like a couple good like A spots, I got a B spot, I got a C spot, I feel pretty good about my options that are all relatively close, and I can get to them all relatively quick. I'll be quicker to jump to my other areas. If I know I have one area in practice that I kind of hammered them, and I know they're in this location, and then all the other places I checked I didn't do well, I don't feel comfortable about leaving. So I will just pick that area apart until I can find those fish. So that's typically the way I do it, and I'll give myself time limits in the day. It's all based off of how I'm fishing and what my bag looks like. But I'm like, if I don't catch one or get one of these fish to bite in the next like 30 minutes, I'm just going to bounce, head over to the next spot. But it's all kind of indicative on how that current day my bag's going. If I have a good bag and I just need like a big kicker, I'll just go search for a big one, which is kind of what I did in Toledo Bend. I just went and searched for a big fish at the end to kind of push me up. But so I left my schooling fish, went look for a big one. But it kind of depends on my practice, depends on how that event's going for me that day. So yeah, if I don't see any fish in my graph, Darren, I just leave. That's my decision.
I've been with you where we were out when I'm like, hey, are you seeing fish in your graph? You're like, yeah, some. Like, how much compared to the other place where you were catching 100 yesterday? He's like, about, I don't know, 75% less. I'm like, let's get out of here. And then that was the day I realized there were gators at Lake Gunnersville. So I rolled by one. I was like, what in the world? Didn't even know this.
And then we left that spot and then went and caught a bunch of fish.
We did catch a crap ton of fish. I mean, they were all schooling, so it was a whole lot of fun. But I guess that kind of segues into the question I have for both of you. So let's separate this out, right? How different is your brain when you're in your big bass hunting versus grinding a limit first, right? And so when you're going to do a tournament, are you thinking, okay, first I just want to get a limit, I don't care what it is, and then you start going upgrade? Or do you enter into the competition saying, I'm going big or just going home, right? I'm going big bass hunting because it's a different way of fishing. And
Definitely.
if I only get 4 out of 5, then I rolled the dice and that's how it came out.
No, definitely for me is getting a limit first. Once that fifth fish is on the board, it's like the stress level just drops.
Yeah, that's the biggest factor in kayak fishing. 4 fish in a boat tournament is not a huge deal. 4 fish in a kayak tournament is a massive deal. Like, unless you have like 4 22s or something. 5 fish. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Justin. I was just saying,
you're good.
Yeah, 4 fish. Yeah, you definitely need to get a limit. That's exactly right.
I mean, like my first fish I uploaded on day 1 was a 13.5. So most people would just take a picture, throw it back. No, I want it on the board. I want to know where I'm at. And
yeah. What I usually do is I try to think based off previous events, or I look online, the time of year, whether it's a boat tournament that was there the previous year, if I can see their weights, kind of give like an estimate on what it's going to take to win. And then in practice, see if I can find the fish that gets me close to what it takes to win. And then say, like, a lot of the Bassmaster events, you might as well just shoot for 100, unless you're on Lake Fork with Wyatt, then you shoot for like 120. But you shoot for 100. If you can get near 100, you're probably going to be in contention. So in practice, I try to find fish that are, the 18 to 20 range. And if I can find those, I fish for those. And then if I'm putting a bag together, like I said earlier, and I don't have like a kicker and I just have a bunch of average fish, then I'll try to make a move to maybe go deeper or try to find one big one. And again, I'm scoping a lot for the people that haven't listened to me before. So I'll scope around and see if I can't find a big fish. Most of the time it's probably a carp or a catfish, but once in a while it'll be a big bass and it'll definitely help me out. So that's kind of my approach to it, Darren.
I guess that's kind of the question I'm asking as well. When you're saying, let's say you each got 5, right? You got a couple nice ones, couple 20s, 19 and 17 and an 18. So what goes through your mind then where you're like, okay, I got my limit. Now I need to start hunting giants. Now, Seth, you just touched on that, right? You're going to go searching for roamers, those big bass out there, and you're on a scope for them. Justin, you don't scope a whole lot. And so what goes through your mind? You're like, okay, I need to start targeting kickers to upgrade. Is it location? Is it lure? Is it timing? Is it patience? What is it?
A little bit all of that. When you're scrounging to get that limit, you're fishing faster. You're not getting the cast where you need them to be. You got so much stuff going on. You're overthinking. Missing fish, doing dumb things. Once you get that limit, everything just slows down, calms down, and you take your time. With me, that's how it goes for me.
Did you change up your tactics at all? You're like, hey, I'm still just gonna. Is the primary way you like fishing jig fishing?
Jigs and chatterbaits, yeah.
Jigs and chatterbaits, yeah. You're alternating. If they're in the grass, you're typically throwing chatterbaits or jigs. But typically, I mean, do you skip chatterbaits under docks? It's a good way to lose $20 real fast, but nonetheless, you do it.
Occasionally.
It's always one of those things like, there goes 25. Dang it. There it
Feeling
goes.
crazy. See if we can get it
I lost 5 or 6 while we were down there.
Oh, it's like $120 just gonzy. Gonzy. How much?
You can pay $10 a piece.
Say what now?
Buy them straight from Japan. You get them for $10 a piece.
Ooh, what's that juice?
I'll send you that link.
You want to talk about it, or you want to keep that in your back pocket?
This is just the evergreen, the tungsten evergreen, which is the same thing, same place that Z-Man orders theirs from.
Okay.
Pretty much.
Is it essentially the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's from my understanding, it's the original jackhammer.
Everyone's like,
Let's go to this computer over here.
Same factory.
Oh, stand by.
I'll stand by. I'll wait for that. You saved everybody. Everyone's like bated breath over here.
So this is what I won at Santee Cooper last year with KBF. So this is they call this one the bluegill. Let's see. I'm trying to.
Oh, there you go, right there.
So I mean, it's literally the jackhammer.
Yeah, that looks like the jackhammer.
But it's instead of it saying Z-Man on it, it says Evergreen. Because if you look at your jackhammer in the top right corner, it says Evergreen on it.
So when you put those side by side, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
That's wild.
Whoo! Come on. If you've waited 54 minutes on this podcast and you just heard that might be the most beautiful thing you've ever heard.
So like I order from them like once a year. How much is a jackhammer? I hadn't bought one in
20
a year. They're like $20-something now, right?
Yeah, and we buy them. Yep.
So I ordered 30 of these back in October, I think, right before we went to Santee Cooper. I ordered 30 of them. The shipping and the tariffs, I paid $320 for 30 of them.
Yeah, I see some of them online are like $9, $8.
Yeah. Like you can get the baby jacks on that website, everything. They are the ones who make it. Z-Man might not like that, but that's what it is.
Hot dang. All right. Well, I gotta come down from that a little bit. I'll be looking forward to that. Looking forward to that link. All right. Here I got a question over here in the comments. A lot of questions over here. All right. So here's a scenario from Michael Bradley 25. Half hour left in the tournament. You need that fifth fish jig bite in the you need that fifth fish. Jig bites died. What are you throwing? Man, I can't
Tantrums.
talk. Oh my gosh. Tantrums. Yeah, right.
Probably going to pick up. I mean, it just depends where we're fishing at too. I mean, but more than likely, probably going to pick up a chatterbait. More than likely.
Is there anything else that you throttle between the jig and the chatterbait, or you're like, hey, I can cover everything I like to fish between those two? So
after fishing with Wyatt this year, I think me and you discussed this before. I used to always overthink it. I'd take 10 rods with me and, all right, I'm going to need this, I'm going to need that. And after fishing with him, it just taught me how to simplify things. I mean, at Santee Cooper, I had 4 rods, 2 jig rods and 2 chatterbait rods. That was it. I mean, I've come to the conclusion if I can't catch them on them, probably not going to catch them.
Yeah.
I'm similar.
Yeah.
Say what?
I'm similar. It's not jigs and chatterbaits, but yeah, I'm similar. I have different presentations. One on the bottom, couple middle. It's like 2 on the bottom. but it just depends where the fish are at. But I use the same type baits, just like you use the chatter baits and jigs, and Wyatt use jigs all the time. I use the same baits all the time. I don't really change it up and do anything fancy or new. If they're not biting the baits that I'm throwing right in front of their faces, they probably aren't going to get caught. I mean, I'll change it up sometimes to see if they want something different, but yeah, I'm similar. The events that I do well in practice and I have it dialed in, I'll really only take a couple rods, and I'll tie on the same bait on a couple rods just in case I cast it in the wind one time, so I just throw it in the back, get a different one. But you can tell, like, if you're on them, this is my opinion. When I see someone with 12 rods in an event, unless they're fishing like top water and then going out doing something else, but when I see 12 rods all stacked up, I'm like, that person is not like on a bite. They're trying to figure things out. But if they just have a few rods and, they typically do, I'm like, that person's probably dialed in. If they just got a minnow tied on, they're going out deep, they're probably on some fish. Or they just got a couple baits, they probably know what they're doing. So it's usually my little rule of thumb when I'm just peeking around prior to blast off, see who has less rods on their back of their kayak there.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
Then you follow them. You just follow those people.
100%. Oh, that guy has one rod on tournament morning.
Darren,
you might know something. Steven said, Darren, didn't you have like 5 chatterbaits tied on one morning? I did. That was tournament morning. I figured it out. I had 7 rods on my kayak. However, 5 or 6 of them were just different variations of chatterbaits, from big blades to baby jacks to jackhammers and different colors. So I didn't have to keep retying. So worked for me. All right. Other questions here. If you got a question for Justin or Seth, go ahead and throw that in the comment section.
Well, no, I don't. No, I don't. I don't throw a Senko. I throw a reg stick. That's what I throw.
There you go.
But I throw a stick worm if I need a fifth bite. I throw something super basic, flutter it down in somewhere where a 12-inch bass will bite it, and hope for the best. That's what I do. If I can't get a fifth fish, I will just go super simple.
Yeah. No,
so I guess it's Hots Carvey. He asked, said, how are you fishing differently to get your limit? Are you throwing something other than a jig to start? So at Guntersville, since we're talking about that, my jig bite didn't start until the sun got up. So in the mornings, what I was doing is I was hitting the front of the docks with a chatterbait. I'd run the front edge of the dock by the boat slip, just the front right there, and they were smashing the chatterbaits. As soon as that sun would peek out, it was like they just darted straight under the docks, and then you stayed there.
Yeah, Wyatt was talking about, as the sun was coming up, they were following the gangplanks out to the main section of the docks there.
Yep.
Fascinating.
And they were deep inside those docks.
Yeah, you have to really skip it, right? You can't just throw it there. And some of these if you're a fish a lot of these southern docks, a lot of these dock owners don't want you fishing them. Yeah.
Their house.
Yes. And so they don't want you fishing there. They're putting down grates, they're putting down wood, they're dropping their boats all the way for like an inch from the water. They don't want you fishing in there, which I don't know about you, Justin, or you, Seth. Anytime I see that, if you give me a hole, all it's got to be is that big, and I'm going for it.
And you miss, and you hit the 10. It's like, ding.
Hey, you know what? You shouldn't have put a gate on your dock. I don't know what to tell you. You shoved your private property into my public water, and so the bass are under there, and I'm going after them. But let me go. I got some questions over here. If you got a question, go ahead and throw that in there. Where's the question I had for you? So what's the internal conversation going in both your head? I don't do a lot of tournament fishing. It's one of those things like, okay, I can easily see myself getting into it. However, I have content to create. And so that's kind of like where all my extra time goes and my hundreds of hours of Bassmaster goes. So I just don't tournament fish. However, when I have done it, I specifically remember this moment while I'm fishing. What's the internal conversation going on when you're behind early? Are you someone who watches the leaderboard, or you're like, I don't even look at that thing?
Guilty.
You look at what is the mental game you're playing with yourself? It sounds like you're uploading every fish and you're watching it like a hawk.
Yeah. I usually keep an eye on it.
Is that good for your mental stability throughout the day or bad? You just can't help yourself. You got to know.
Probably both. I mean, like I was watching Wyatt on day 2 of the championship or the Challenge Series championship, and I'm like, he's getting close. Then he passed me at one point, and I caught those 2 upgrades. Then I think we have like 2 hours left, so I'm stressed. Soon as the clock hit whatever time it was, I called him. I was like, "How many fish you holding?" He was like, "None." I was like, "Oh my god."
Yeah. My internal monologue or discussions I have with myself is typically based on how I'm performing compared to my expectations. So depending on my practice, if I think I'm on them, if I think I can do 100 inches or 90 inches, how is day one going for me based on those expectations? So I don't really pay attention to what everyone else is catching early, depending on the event. Once I'm meeting my expectations. So, if I think my floor is about 80 inches, my ceiling's like 95 in practice. Let's just say that, for example. And I'm sitting, I catch some fish. I'm sitting at like 85. I'm like, all right, I'm not doing as well as I wanted to. Let's see what the rest of the field's doing. Then I'll go in and kind of see, midday where everyone else is at. And sometimes, surprisingly, if I'm not fishing as well as I thought I would or catching the fish, so a lot of times, especially in Florida on the lakes, when we have like 40 or 50 anglers, it's like lake wide that people aren't doing that well. Where I thought like 90 some inches would win, I go and look, and I'm like, my 85's in the lead right now. I'm like, that is crazy. Like, so you get the complete opposite. You get a boost of like, holy smokes, like I didn't think I was going to have a chance to win this with this amount. Now I do. I just got to keep catching them. And then I'll check like Dale Hollow this past year. I lost that one by a 1/4 inch. And I was just catching them back to back and just getting closer and closer to the top. So you do get like, sometimes you get discouraged when you look at it and you see other people are catching them and you're not. But I don't necessarily compare myself to the rest of the group, although that's what matters. I compare it to my expectations leading into that day based off my practice. So if I knew like in practice I wasn't really on them and I'm going in there and I'm at like 80 some inches, low 80s, I'm not that discouraged. I was probably more discouraged at the end of practice because I know I'm not really on the fish yet. So, I do a little both. I would say. I do like seeing it though, because then I can see who's in first. And then again, you just follow that person, and then they lead you right to where the fish are. I'm kidding. For anyone listening online, I'm totally kidding.
I am sure that happens. Do you ever have that happen to you, Seth?
Nah, I don't think many people really know who I am. The funny part, this past year, I've had multiple Florida anglers go to events and people go up to them and say, "Hey, are you Seth Taylor?" And they're like, "No, I'm not Seth," and whatever their names are. But I've never had anyone recognize who I am. So, dude, I put my hood up.
Seth is a guy. He puts his hood
I
up.
just sit like this.
He puts 15 rods on his kayak on tournament mornings, and everyone's following him. He's only going to use 2. And so you just pull the wool.
Yeah, I put the blinders on, man, and just I play video games all day.
You have your 19-inch screen right there in front of you.
Yeah, pretty much.
I love it. All right. It's 1:05. I got an hour and 5. I like it. We got 47 live right now. If you can help me out, hit that like button wherever you're at, whether you're over on Justin's page or my Facebook page or YouTube, wherever you're at. Would love that. Help to give this some extra yardage after it's all said and done. I have a question over here from Bass AF 817. He says, on a river, what do you look for? I love seeing beaver dams. They always seem to hold good sized bass around them. Seth, you don't do a lot of river fishing, do you?
There's some rivers down here. I mean, I grew up on the Susquehanna River.
Sure, but I mean like recently in the last 5 years.
No, I mean there's some of these rivers, man, there's so much boat traffic and stuff. But no, I don't do a whole lot of river fishing anymore.
How about you, Justin?
We don't really have much. We got a lot of creeks around here.
There you go.
Creeks, but no.
Yeah, I love river fishing. I started getting it toward the end of last season. We got bunch of small bass around here, and bass. When what I look for is, I don't think I've ever caught a good size smallmouth, not off structure, right? Not off a lay down in some type of cover. And so typically in the river, they're going to be holding next to those, rock gardens. They're going to be holding next to that lay down. And so you basically, throttle down your anchor on your chain, or you got to, put the bow anchor wizard down, flip around and just hold on it and cast into that stuff, not just around it, cast into it. And that's a lot of times where I'm able to pick up some nice size smallies.
Mhm.
All right. And we went from lakes to rivers, but man. All right. What's
I got one. Do you use
hit
a
me.
net, Justin? Are you a net guy? A net, no net?
Yeah, I use a net.
Use a net? Okay.
Mhm.
Just curious. Darren's a net guy too.
Sometimes I'm not.
No?
I don't know.
In tournament settings when you have to catch the fish, not where it makes better content if it flies off.
No, I've forgotten my net on tournament days. I've caught one of the biggest fish in my life. And so it's one of those things I'm comfortable either way.
Yeah, because you started without a net, right?
I started without a net.
Yeah.
I feel wildly comfortable just lipping the thing and working it.
Yeah.
However, also I was like, okay, if I know I don't hook, like hooks, a lot of times this happens on chatterbaits. I know I don't get a hook set. And so I know it's just pinned, but it's not past the barb. And so like, all right, I got to horse this thing, which I have no problem because I have the line weight on it where I can horse it. And so that's where I'm breaking out the net because I know I don't have it good and I want to get it in the net as fast as possible because it's going to throw me. And if I play this thing, then I'm going to lose this thing. And so that's why I like having a net on tournaments so I can just force them in.
I forgot, not that I forgot. I didn't use a net on Dale Hollow for all the smallmouth. And I lipped every single one of those bad boys.
Oh man.
I'll never do that again. I'll never fish those big smallmouth without a net, man. It was so stressful doing figure eights for like 5 minutes for them just to calm down.
To calm down, yeah.
Just so I could go just try to shove my thumb like right in their tiny little mouth without hitting the hook that's right there. Gosh, man. But yeah, that was
what are some questions here? All right, we got a variety of questions we'll end the show on with. What's something small you think that most anglers overlook, Justin?
Say that again.
What's something small that you think most anglers overlook? Right? You're like, oh man, this is a massive advantage for me. I do it. However, I don't see a lot of anglers doing it.
That's a good question. I'd love to think about that one.
Seth, you can answer it too if you have it, or we can circle back to it.
I don't know.
All right, think about that. If you want to answer it.
There's a couple different things. I mean, for me, I think simplifying. I don't know if that's small. That might be more difficult for a lot of folks. Justin kind of touched on it.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking the overthinking part of it.
Yeah, like simplifying your approach to baits that work and hitting different parts of the water column and fishing in areas that have fish, not like dead water. And I think simplifying my approach, not the preparation for me. I'm a little bit different, but simplifying my approach on the water as to what I'm throwing. It's always kind of the same baits all the time. It's not like the new bait of the year type deal. But that's
I can see psychologically while we're like, okay, I haven't found them in pre-fishing, and so I don't want to go out there without the arsenal. But having the arsenal may not be wildly helpful. Maybe what would be wildly helpful is just take out your 3 confidence baits and just work those all day long. So I could see that. I could see why people would take out a lot on that day. What makes an angler dangerous in a tournament, in your opinion? What have you seen?
Where'd y'all come up with these questions at?
I got more.
Yeah, he's got a whole deal.
Here's a better example. It's like, Justin, when you and Seth, when you enter in these competitions, for the most part, who's going to be sitting in the top 5 because they've been in the top 5 every other tournament. What makes that person dangerous on the water? What have you noticed about your competition? You're like, this person's dangerous because of this, and it's an edge that he has or she has.
You want me to go first, Justin? You want to go? You got it?
Yeah, you can go.
So there's a lot of factors, right? I mean, preparation's one. We heard Wyatt. Some people that are really good at it. I mean, Justin doesn't do the same approach, but I know that some of the people that do, like a Wyatt, that's kind of similar to what I do. And I feel like they're going to have a really solid background with the body of water that they're going in. Historically, they know where those fish were caught, which leads me into people that have already fished that body of water, or they're local and have done derbies on that body of water over the course of years at the same time of year, have their nice like spawn spots that they go to. And also the people that are just like a Drew Gregory in river systems. Like that dude just, I mean, he fished on, like Toledo Bend is like a lake and has a river on the north end. Dude didn't fish the river on first day, and then he's like, no, I'm going to go back to what I'm used to. I tried something different. Drew goes up the river on day 2 and just absolutely slays them. So like some people have like a certain skill set that really matches bodies of water. Those would be my few, I guess, like the preparation part, the local aspect, knowing the body of water over the course of years, and then styles of fishing that match what they're really good at. Like some of the people from New York, those guys up in New York that fish like the Finger Lakes and those, they can go up there with a minnow and like they can scope like crazy. They're going to be up there on Champlain and just hammering them out in the open. So
yeah.
Those would be mine.
How about you, Justin?
Yeah, touch on that one. I mean, history would be a big thing. If keep having tournaments over and over and over at these places, people are going to remember what they did, and they'll be able to put that together. So definitely history.
Got it. What's one of the biggest mental edges kayak anglers underestimate, in your opinion?
Mental edges?
Yeah. Like this is like the mental game, right? So inside the mind of someone who has tendency to finish in the top 10 every time, like you can spiral out really fast.
Yeah.
I've only fished in several tournaments. However, if you lose a big bass and that sucker's every bit of 21, 22, some cases bigger, and you lose it, and it's like, oh man, I obviously you really need it, but you like really needed it. Like it's easy to spiral out, even though you have plenty of time right, left in the tournament. And so what helps you keep from spiraling out when the majority of people will, and they won't be able to recover?
I mean, for me, because obviously it's still going to happen to everybody. Biggest thing I've learned is just put everything down. Just stop, sit down, chill out, get you something to drink, something to eat, pick up your phone for a minute, do whatever you can do to get your mind off of the situation. And once, 10, 15 minutes isn't going to kill the day, especially when you got time left. And that's how I handle it.
Okay, so you actually create a reset.
Yeah, I just stop.
Yeah, you don't keep fishing. You're like, okay, I need to literally reset my brain. And you do it by checking your phone, taking a drink, eating lunch, whatever it is. All right, fascinating. Seth, you're laughing. What's going on?
Because I'm picturing my videos that I have. So I just based off video footage, what I do is I usually scream really loud at customers. That's the first thing that happens. The second thing is that I go like parallel. So I'm like sitting upright. The second thing is I go like this. And I usually sit there and stare at the sky for like 2-3 minutes. And then all right, we're back at it, man. But yeah.
What's going through your brain when you're all stiffed up?
Like you have got to be freaking kidding me, man. Like I cannot believe I just did that. I had a largemouth in a huge event that I lost by a quarter of an inch in a Bassmaster event because the trolling motor cut my line, dude, because I didn't have the rod out far enough. So like when stuff like that happens, it's like, anyway, based on video footage, I yell a cuss word and I get parallel for some reason. That's what I do, dude. That's my strategy.
Let me know in the comments, what do you do when you lose a bass? I think this is fascinating.
I broke one of my chairs already doing that because I just slam back and lay back. So yeah, maybe I'm not the only one. Let me know, please.
Oh my gosh. Let me go over here to the comment section. Let me know what you do. Utopia Outdoorsman. I say some bad words and I move on. I love it. I'm trying to think what I do. I don't know.
Just watch that footage, man.
I actually, I think I know it. I replay in my brain like what just happened. I almost try to like do a post-mortem right away. Like, what did I how did I lose that? Was it the hook set? Was it not past the barb? Sometimes you can't figure it out. Other times you can. It's pretty obvious. I tried to horse it, or I gave it too much slack, or whatever it was. And that's the only way I need. That's the way I have to figure it out. Michael Bradley got some questions here. We're going to do some final questions, and we're going to let these guys go. And so Michael Bradley's got one. Let us know if you have, throw a comment in the comment section or a question for Justin or Seth, and we'll get that answered. Oh my gosh, here's one from Bass, AF 817. I didn't measure a fish because I thought it wouldn't help me, and I lost it by that length. Oh,
Wyatt too.
Oh, having a Wyatt? Oh man! All right, tell us the story.
10 last year.
Tell us, like, what was it? Do you know the story well, or you just remember that it happened?
So something about it was a 21 and a half or 21 and 3/4, or along those nature. He was a 1/4 inch off of it. He thought he didn't need it, but it was actually a 1/4 inch bigger, which would have tied him for first place in the 10.
I have a painful. That is so painful. I have a painful.
That's pretty painful. I know Seth has one too.
Yeah, I haven't spoke about this publicly at all, but
here we go.
So yeah, the first event last year in the Bassmaster Kayak Series was on the Kissimmee chain in Florida, which I should have done well on. But I missed a giant. I caught an 8.5, but first day bag was average. Second day, I'm like, I'm not even going to go shoot for an average bag. First day I ended in like, I don't know, the 40s or something like that out of 200. I'm going to go shoot for it, try to get 100 inches. So I go in there, went into a spot. There wasn't a lot of fish, but I thought there would be big fish. They didn't show up on day 2. So I caught some fish, submitted them. I found out towards the end of the event that one of my fish were DQ'd towards the end of the day because it was a duplicate fish from the day before. And whatever. At that time, I had a small bag on day 2. I was in with that fish, I was in like the 50s, 60s. Without that fish, I got dropped down to 90th. And it was like right at the end of the day, I'm like, this is my only event I'm going to fish for the year. So like, it's not a big deal, whatever. I didn't even upload another fish. I just kept my spot. Like, it was the only Bassmaster kayak series event I was going to do for the National Trail. Well, that changed. I went and fished Dale Hollow. So I ended up with 9 fish and 90th place instead of like the 50th, 60th. Because I had another fish I could have uploaded. I didn't care. I was kind of annoyed for the day. Went to Dale Hollow, got 2nd. Went to Toledo Bend, got 5th. Had I submitted any of my other fish in my bag on Kissimmee, I would have had enough points for AOI for the Bassmaster series, right up there with Abby. So yeah, that was a pretty painful one. Abby's an awesome fisher. He did amazing that year. He was in the top for all those events, but because I didn't submit that fish, yeah.
How long was it? Do you remember?
Well, I had a couple in there that were like in the 15, 16 inch range, but the one that got DQ'd was like a 16.5 or something. So it would have ticked me up around 30 spots, and those 30 spots isn't 30 points. Some of those are worth 3, some are worth 2, depending on the point structure. So it was around like 60 to 70 points, which is what I needed for to jump me up into AOI first place.
So here's the question. Yeah. How much was Bassmaster paying out for Angler of the Year?
It was $6,000. And then you get all the articles on Bassmaster, and you get whatever. It is what it is. Yeah.
Oh, it's so painful, Seth.
Yeah, all
so
because
painful.
I had 9.
Stupid.
All because I had 9 fish on a Florida body of water.
And you had a couple. You're just pissed off for the day.
Yeah, like
I didn't know
I was going to fish anymore, and then I decided, you know what, I'm going to fish some national ones, and yeah. So it was a blessing. You learn on stuff like that. You just submit your fish, always double check, make sure you submit the right length, make sure their mouths are closed. Don't be grumpy at the end of the day and be like, screw it, I'm not uploading any more fish that day. And
you won't lose yourself $6,000.
Lessons learned, man.
Ooh, I'm glad I'm learning it through you. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Gosh, that is so painful.
Yeah.
Whew.
Someone said, you see that one there at the bottom, Bass?
Yeah. Bass said I about threw myself into the water after the announcements. I mean, it's kind of, I mean, for you, Seth, it's like, okay, you were never planning on fishing more Bassmasters, so I get it. However, for others, I'm sure if you made that mistake, it was simply just because, I mean, 8 hours, however long these tournaments are, it's a long time to stay mentally focused and on the entire time, right?
Yeah.
You would think it's like, oh, it's easy after fishing. I mean, to stay focused and stay on and for that amount of time, nonstop. I get where people lapse and make mistakes. So he says he measures everything now, even the tree pounders. Oh, I love it. Well, folks, that's going to wrap up our show. Justin, I appreciate you. Congratulations on a freaking awesome 2025. Look forward to what 2026 is going to hold for you. And Seth, you as well. And so appreciate you guys. And a special shout out, of course, to Dark Horse Tackle, the sponsor of the show. Appreciate them, what they do for the show, how they support it. So if you want to support the show, head over to darkhorsetackle.com. Check out their boxes. Check out their a la carte area on their website as well. But I don't have a guest next week or the next 2 weeks going into Christmas. And so I guess I need to get some work done. So if you guys have anybody here like, hey, I would love to see them on the KFO show and I haven't had them on yet, go ahead and throw that in the comment section. I'll circle back and check that out. But hopefully I will see all y'all next Tuesday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern on the Kayak Fishing Obsessed podcast. You guys have a good one.